You know what, yeah? As you might know from watching all my scouting report videos, and you think to yourself when you watch these, oh, who's that? Who's that? As you just search some random player from the Icelandic Premier League or whatever. What is this geezer from England who lives in Canada going on about on his YouTube channel? Well, let me tell you something, my friends. I can assure you that all the players that I do recommend West Ham to sign and talk about in my videos aren't just picked on a whim, and actually there is a lot of logic behind it. So let's just get that cleared up. I am here to give my thoughts on a player that I think West Ham will benefit from in the upcoming transfer window. Now, let's not get our hopes up here when David Moyes says that he wants to bring in top quality players to maintain West Ham's constant achievements of getting into Europe. So, with that said, it's good on paper, but let's say, just for the sake of these videos, that the words were to be put into action and West Ham were to sign top quality players. I could name top quality players from now until the cows come home, but I always look for tidy ballers who come from the dirt and end up shining in the team. And one such player is an Arsenal reject. And no, it isn't Lord Bentner who's coming back to the Premier League. I don't recommend him as a West Ham signing, even though we do need a striker, and Lord Bentner is one of those players that the football streets will never forget in England. It's not him. It's a player who Syed Benrahma knows very well, and Benrahma himself will attest to this. It's a defensive midfielder called Ismaël Bennacer. Now, in just 24 years of this guy being on the planet Earth, he has already achieved a lot. He was an Africa Cup of Nations winner in 2019, and he won Player of the Tournament in that same competition. He is a former Arsenal player who was part of Arsenal's academy but never ever made a breakthrough into the first team, and he's now at AC Milan. Bennacer plays either as a central midfielder or as a defensive midfielder. And two words that I would use to describe this guy are tenacious and combative. If there's one thing that strikes me about Ismaël Bennacer, it's that he is a fearless, no-nonsense kind of player. And he covers a ton of ground in a game. I've looked at some of his heat maps from this season, and he covers so much around the centre circle, but it's mainly towards the right side of the field. And his style of play is often very dependent on his ability to make long passes to his teammates. It's very similar to what Frank Lampard did with Chelsea, in my opinion. Lampard was always known for creating assist-type passes. Bennacer is very similar in this sense, because Bennacer has spatial awareness and vision to pass into opposition territory. He does it often with great risk involved. He will tend to pass the ball into traffic in an attempt to catch out an opposing team's defence. How he does so is, say that this is a... what objects can I use? This'll do. So say it's like a narrow gap here. Okay, and this is like narrow. Like a narrow gap here. His teammates are, say, behind it. He'll attempt to pass the ball with a curl on it and just use physics for the rest. So that's quite an intelligent thing to do. He's a psychological defensive midfielder. He understands how to pass the ball without overthinking it, or even passing it in a more complex manner and making it look simple. So those two things kind of go hand in hand. When he's not marked, he immediately looks to offload the ball. He's not the kind of player who keeps the ball for long periods of time, because it doesn't work. And in Serie A, one thing that does stand out is trickery and ball retention. Those are two things about Serie A which make it what it is, and it's not necessarily a league where you find a lot of flair. Bennacer himself doesn't have a lot of flair, and this can be shown by the fact that he never tries to run with the ball. Unlike Declan Rice, Bennacer will not try to dribble with the ball. he will attempt to offload it to make forward passes. And all it does is forward pass, forward pass, forward pass. He uses dribbling ability every now and again, but it's not as common as his passing. AC Milan plays a similar formation to what David Moyes has. Milan right now plays a 4-2-3-1, and this allows for dynamic tendencies. He has grace to go forward when offence needs it. If he sees a gap big enough, he will dribble in between the lines. Bennacer will always pay attention to who he can pass to forward while he's dribbling with this ball. That seems like a fundamental of the game, but really to execute a pass after a dribble and after a successful run and to get it to a teammate to create a scoring opportunity is harder than what people may think. He plays with a low centre of gravity alongside his strength as well. And he forces opponents to move into different positions, playing mind games. Again, a psychological player. Another good trait of him as well is that he always occupies spaces that could be occupied by the other team. So he's always one step ahead and always free to get a ball. He does rely on support from fullbacks and wingers. West Ham's often dependent on fullbacks for crosses and what have you. This would suit him at West Ham. It's right now Johnson and Cresswell. Let's just put those in right now because they're the regular starters and it's okay for this example. Both players tend to go forward. This is the Moyes system. Moyes has always had the system where he's had attacking fullbacks. He had it with Everton with Tony Hibbert, Leighton Baines. He's got it right now at West Ham with it Sofar/Johnson and Aaron Cresswell, who's predominantly left back. Both players attack the channels to a certain point. Bennacer would, if he were to play for us, line up with them, carry the ball and give it some more momentum. His very direct style of play, his defensive knowledge, his vision, passing, and just want to get involved in everything make him the player that he's known to be. A very hard-fighting, tough-talking, no-nonsense defensive midfielder. And I think that's what we kind of need at West Ham. Declan Rice has set the tone for this. Rice is an attacking defensive midfielder who plays more box-to-box. This could also be said about Thomas Souček, although Souček hasn't had the same results as last season in terms of his goals when he has gone forward. Alex Král hasn't really been given a shot in the team, and he is likely to go back to Spartak Moscow, according to reports. I might do another video on that on Wheel and Deal. But everything about Bennacer makes me want him to come to us. He is already touted to be one of the next biggest players of his generation. Algerian football is big. Once you put on that jersey for them, you are monitored and you are loved. He's loved in that team. Ben Rama will attest many of the things that I said in the video because he's good friends with Bennacer. He knows that this is a kind of midfielder who works offensively while knowing his defensive duties. And this is the intelligence we need in the team. Players who can do one thing, but know they can be responsible for another thing. So, for example, like Cresswell knows that he's predominantly going to be an assister when it comes from set pieces, but he also has to do some defensive work. Ben Johnson knows that he can be a player who can cross balls, but he also has to do some defensive work and make sure he's keeping things tidy in his zone. Bennacer will be able to pass the ball and give the momentum on the ball while also being wary of other players around him. I know that this sounds like a bit of a long shot signing, but I think this is the kind of player we would have in our midfield that would ball. I mean ball. Not a technical baller, but a natural baller. I think that Bennacer just will continue to improve. He's playing in a league where passing seems to be a big part of the game. Possession football seems to be a big part of the game. The possession bit doesn't suit him. He needs to come to a league where he can move that ball more freely. And that's why I think a move back to the Premier League would be good for this Algerian whiz kid. I'm just saying my 2 cents. I think he'd be a good signing for West Ham. And if you want to disagree with me, you can do that. But hey, I'm open to my opinion. I think Ismaël Bennacer would be fantastic business for this club. Thank you very much for watching this video of Anvil's thoughts. If you like this video, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe for more content. And if you're not subscribed to my channel and you are watching my videos, then you're missing out. So hit that sub, okay? Thank you very much for watching this, everyone. Take care. See you all soon.